Come on in and welcome to the Nameless Blog. I'm your host, Kyle S. Berkeley, also known as Dr. Kyle Berkeley, aka KB, Trap God with a Dad Bod. This is the Nameless Blog. I'm the host. I'm also the author of The Wake, The Void, The Legacy, and very soon to be released, The Union. We have a packed show today. Honestly, this is a re-recording of the show. I was supposed to put it out last week. I did not. The reason why is because the topic that we was going to discuss in this week's show, well, the top 10 for this week's show, I had to rework. The original top 10 with the honorable mentions, things got a little weird. And when I tried to fix the top 10, it looked good. And then I was like, I might need to fix some things on it. And then I was like, you know what? I could rework and do a different top 10. So we're going to do things a little bit different with the top 10. And before I get started, please like and subscribe the show here on YouTube, anywhere else you may listen to it. Also, please feel free if you're a fan of my work, The Void, The Wake, The Legacy, anything else I've done, please leave comments. If you purchase them online, such as Amazon, Barnes and Nobles, Greedy Reads, Goodreads, etc. Please leave comments on those sites about how you enjoy the books. It does mean a lot. If you haven't picked up any of the books, please do. I could quickly pitch right now what they're about. The Wake is the prequel to the series. It shows the downfall of the community. It also shows a lot of family drama and family secrets that's going on with the Givens slash Sims family. The Void picks up right at the very end of the Wake, and it follows Tiffany very closely and her journey as the community continues to downfall with gang activity, crooked police, a serial killer, government cover-ups, another serial killer, um, secret societies, a religious church cult, and that's just off the top of my head. So that being said, let us get started in this week's Nameless Blog. I'm going to start off with something that's real heartfelt about one of my favorite actors, Andre Braugher. He was on Brooklyn Nine-Nine. He was on Homicide: Life on the Streets. He was also in Fantastic Four. He was my very favorite character in Brooklyn Nine-Nine, to say the least. He just brought a different energy to the show. His comedic timing, the way how he could play the straight man, and while doing that, really being hilarious in the process. It was just great acting. And also somebody who's a traditional actor against comedic actors. It was great to see him on that show. And he's gonna be really, really, really missed. I really wish we could have got him for a very specific role in a series that we're currently developing called Tiffany Saga. It's based off of The Void, The Wake, and the next season will probably bleed more into the legacy. But the season currently in development, we're just focused on the certain parts of the Wake, early portions of the Void, and we're gonna go from there. And you also could donate $5, $10, anything that helps. We have a GoFundMe. If you type in Kyle Berkeley or Tiffany Saga, you could donate and get a producer credit on the show that's currently in production. It is being produced and directed. Actually, it's been directed by the great Devin Walker. Recently won an award at the Atlanta Film Festival. Now let's talk about a very, very serious thing. This needs not too much introduction to go into. It is sadly about Johnathan Majors. So there was another serious topic that I wanted to talk about, and I will get into it just because it has now come to the news. Now mainstream media is talking about this. So I'll get to that soon, but I do want to share my thoughts on Johnathan Majors before I get to that next serious thing. And it's sad, it's a lot of reasons why this is a sad thing. Um, any assault of any kind is horrible. Look at the evidence and everything that happened. I get why the ruling was done the way that it was. It is what it is. We know it's up, and that's it's sad, and it's sad because I was really looking forward to Johnathan Majors really showing off his acting chops in the role of King the Conqueror. I'm a huge Marvel Comics fan. I love the MCU. I'm a fan of DC Comics as well. I have a love-hate relationship with the DCEU, DC Extended Universe, or now DCU, however they want to rebrand or repackage it. It's a thing. Like DC is going through this stuff. I love what's going on Amazon, with what they're doing with the boys and Invincible. I really wish they would have did a second season of Euphoria. I thought that show was really good. Um, Sadly, they canceled it. I get why, because of the politics, because of what was going on with COVID, and they were. I think Rainn Wilson was concerned with negative press because of what the show's about, and there was a real pandemic at the time. So I get it. But that being said, politics does play a major part into the entertainment industry, and understanding how politics plays a part in the entertainment industry. You have what's going on currently with Johnathan Majors, who at the beginning of this year had two chart-topping movies, that being Creed 3 and Ant-Man 3. And sorry, Ant-Man and the Wasp, into Quantumania, or Quantumania, whatever it was, because it was Doctor Strange into the multiverse. So it's sad, especially when you see an African American man really succeed in an industry, and you want to celebrate and give people their flowers while they're alive, and you're like, great, yeah, this is a guy who's doing great. He's now breaking out and becoming a major star. We saw him on HBO. It was HBO Max at the time. That was just Max. But Lovecraft Country, we saw him on there. We saw him in the World War II movie. I think it was called Glory. So, needless to say, it's definitely a tough transition. And my daughter's here. So it's a tough transition with everything that's going on with Mr. Majors, and it seems like Marvel has cut him. So that there's been multiple different stories. I'm not sure what's true at this point, to be honest. So Marvel has dropped Johnathan Majors from his role as King the Conqueror, and it appears that they're going to recast. There was a rumor that was out stating that his contract said that he was going to be the only person that could play Kang. So I'm not sure the legality of Marvel cutting him and then recasting Kang. I have no idea. This is very interesting and uncharted territory, uncharted waters. Again, Johnathan Major was charged on 2 counts in this court case of misdemeanor assault and harassment. So in New York. So that is a very real and true thing. And there's a lot of speculation into how that impacts Marvel, even though they dropped them, the whole legality of it, because I don't know the details of his contract. So I only could go by what different sites are saying. And I'm not going to call out the sites because they could have bad information as well. And I hate to send people over to these different sites that I follow myself, and it could be bad information. It just wouldn't be fair to you all. And the next thing I was going to talk about was this major issue that's been going on, which is review bombing. So for those that don't know, review bombing has been an issue in the black entertainment industry for a while, and sadly, it comes at the hands of our own people at times, and it comes at the hands of people of European descent. That does it. For what gain do they get from it? I have no idea, but it's a real thing. So there was an article that was put out over the weekend. Cheryl Barton had put it out. I saw it, asked her if it was okay if I talk about it on the Nameless Blog. She was like, "This is a great idea." So here we are. And in the article, it talked about how these people go on these sites, like Amazon or Barnes and Nobles or anywhere where there's I'm gonna just speak from the author standpoint, even though it does fall into the music category at times, and it does fall into other categories. We'll just stick with literature for right now. And sadly, it's a thing. And I went through this. I don't want to say I went through it with The Wake. The Wake was my very first book. It was a big learning experience. Cheryl Barton and her publishing company, Pen and Page, helped me out big time because I wrote this story. I felt like I had this really good story, and I felt like I had a real good premise of the story. That being, it's a 7-chapter book. Each chapter is its own story, but they all blend together and they all take place at a funeral home. Each chapter is a different room at the funeral home, and it's telling how that person got to the funeral home. And then you find out all these people from the same community. Some of these people are related, and one way or another, they all impact each other, whether they know it or not, or whether the community knows it or not. They all impact each other. And as the story continues to unfold, you as the reader go, "Oh, wow, that's pretty interesting." And that was the premise of The Wake. It was an 8.5 out of 10 on the books with benefits. That was actually my lowest rated book, which is great, 8.5 out of 10. The Wake was 9.0. I'm sorry, The Void was 9.0 out of 10 by Books with Benefits, and The Legacy is a 9.8 out of 10 by Books with Benefit. The Union is still going through its ratings and going through critiques right now. That's the reason why it's not out yet. And we're doing a whole campaign. We'll get into that at another time. Well, the goal is to make it into a bestseller. Let's just be honest. But so when I saw this one review, it's on Amazon, and I read what the person said. She was like, "It's a book about death. It's a lot of death, blah blah blah." And that was her major complaint. And I was like, "Well, was it too much death in the book?" And it made me go, "Was my book dry? Was my..." And you want to follow up, but you take the criticism, and like so. Sherry Woods, who was my publicist, she had a complaint that there was a lot of names in the beginning, and there was a give or take that happened between myself and the publishing company, where I was learning a lot about literature because I was coming from the whole music world into writing books at this point, and it's a different transition. It's two different worlds, right? And I'm like, okay, so certain things in the first chapter, my publisher, the publishing company, wanted me to flesh certain things out a little bit more, right? And I appreciated it. And that created a whole lot of names in the first chapter. And that was actually the major / only complaint in the series, was the multiple names in the first chapter, like the first 10 pages of the book. And then it's like a pretty cool flow. But that was like the only complaint. And that's a complaint that right now I think I'm gonna when I do the next revision of it, I will fix. And I've even thought about rewriting it, and then I've heard people go, "No, leave it alone. If you want to do anything, just take out the names." But the book flows perfectly. Like, okay, cool. If that's what you think. Like, I just want the best product out, and that's what it was. So that being said, when The Void came out, And the Void, I did a lot of screeners with other authors and people in media, people who do movies and stuff like that. So I did screeners with them, just to see what their feelings was. Never had a bad word said about it. And I honestly, I look for it. I went to people who I knew would have been very critical of my work, and it wasn't there. So as I continued to work and put out the Legacy, because the Void and Legacy I wrote side by side, believe it or not. Like there was not a space in time where I stopped writing and then started writing again. Those two books I just went. Honestly, it was the same book, and it was like I had to break it apart because the Void story with Marshawn Bell, the Narcotics and Firearms Task Force, and the Alphas was one way, and then going into the whole action figure killer storyline with what was going on with him and the Alphas and Paul Douglas and his role with the Alphas and stuff like that. It just, from a storyteller's perspective, it was too much story for that just to be one book. So I had to spread it out into two books. And that's how The Void and Legacy became what it was, because Legacy technically would have been Union, and Union would have been a final book in the series, which is the transition, which is what I'm working on right now, what I'm writing right now. And Union is in the process of coming out very, very soon. So when I put the Void out, I looked for any kind of negative anything, and it wasn't there. And I really was looking forward to it because I was like, okay, well, I could take that and I could make certain adjustments before Legacy comes out, and I could look and try to build on my next book. So that was my goal. So I put out the Void, and I kept looking, and then I started seeing some people with negative reviews. But the thing about it was they never wrote anything about the book, which I thought was weird. Like they would either just give it a low rating, no reason why, or they would just go, I didn't like it. Well, if you go, you don't like something, especially when you're reviewing a product, it's always good practice to say why. It's always good practice to say why, right? Especially if you bought a product and you're gonna voice what you like or don't like about the product, and it wasn't there. So other authors were saying the same thing. Like, yo, I've been going through this and I've been experiencing this. And I do want to explain there are different kinds of authors. There are authors that care about reviews, and there's authors that don't. Then they just keep pushing, putting out work. I'm one of those authors that care about reviews for multiple reasons. A, I want to always be the best author and writer because I care about the product I put out. I care about my product as far as an author, and as a publisher, I care about the product that this company, Boldprint Publishing, puts out, because I always want it to have a high quality, and I want to make sure that anybody macaroni, and I want to make sure anybody who reads my work gets the best work. So that's always my goal as a writer and as a publisher. So when I don't see certain things, I go, okay, why? Why am I seeing this review, but I'm not seeing anything behind this review? And sadly, it didn't exist because it wasn't a thing. And the reason why it's not a thing, and it's able to be ruled out as not a thing, is not simply because I'm saying it's not a thing. No, it's actually the contrary. It's not a thing because sadly, a lot of African American authors like myself have experienced this phenomenon, and this phenomenon sadly has come up in articles recently, and now has made it to main media. And in this main media, last night, not last night, on Sunday night, I'm at work at my job. I work at crisis response. Hang on, my daughter. Okay, she's playing with the computer. So last night, I'm working. I mean, not sorry, I said that like Sunday night, I'm working at crisis response, and the football game was on. Ravens played Jacksonville, and they won. And after winning the game against Jacksonville, the news talks about this negative review and review bombing that's going on. And they talk kind of about the article, and they actually start talking about how review bombing is crossing into different genres, not just books. It's impacting Christmas sales, et cetera, et cetera, and is done by rivals or competitors. And again, it makes me go, why? Like, what's the gain in this when I'm an indie author? Bullpen Publishing is an independent publishing company. And there are tons of other independent publishing companies. You have Page Publishing, Liftbridge Publishing. There's some other bigger name indie publishing companies. I'm not going to say just because I'm not going to generate business toward them, right? But you do have Cool Water Press and a lot of other independent publishing companies that do real great work and have put out a lot of best-selling authors. Cheryl Barton being one. Another would be Odessa Rose, who wrote Lady in the Broken Glass and Kismick's Journey. So, and also the movie Lady in the Broken Glass as well. So you do have that. So it makes me wonder, like, okay, why do you have to put down another indie author or another author for you to sell when we're both indie authors? Like, what are you gaining from that? Like, I have no reason to put down any indie author. I said in the Nameless blog after I became the runner-up for the Baltimore Crown, I was happy to lose to D. Watkins. D. Watkins is a major name. D. Watkins is a best-selling author. His book is featured and talked about in We Run the City, which is the HBO drama, which is featured on Max. And D. Watkins is dope, so he has a big brand and big name, and it made sense for me to lose to him. And I'm not against that. That being said, I'm never going to tear down D. Watkins for me to make a sale or two. That makes no sense. I'm not going to tear down Keisha Starr, who is a great author and is doing, or Saint Wrights. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to tear down these other authors, and we're all in the same bubble together, and we're all trying to reach our full potential and provide for our families. So I just don't get that sad mindset of I need to tear you down in order for me to achieve a certain goal. Like, it's just really sad. It's sad, and it's a real thing. It's a real thing. It's a sad thing. It's something that needs to be addressed, and it's something that there has to be an answer to. What that answer is, I have not the faintest idea. But there's definitely an answer. And if you see me moving around, yes, I am. You know why? Because my 4-year-old daughter asked me to heat her up some macaroni and cheese, and I did it. And I'm proud of it because that's my daughter. She just came home from school. She wanted macaroni and cheese. She's going to get her daggone macaroni and cheese. You're welcome. I'm a girl dad, and I am very proud to be one, and I don't shy away from it. So as we continue on, I definitely want to put it on the radar because it is something that bothers, because here we are, the holiday season. It's no secret. You're going to sell a lot of your product during the holiday season. You want to sell your product during the holiday season. Why do you think I have this cool decal behind me? Right? Because I want to show my stuff to sell for the holiday season. That being said, you do have people in this genre in this this genre of entertainment, which is literature, that try to tear you down. And honestly, I haven't gotten it as bad as a lot of people. I've actually received a lot of love. Touring has helped big time with that. The East Coast book tour that I did this year, that helped out big time. There is some work and some talk of some work for next year. I'll be doing another tour. I'll be doing some international stuff as well. My brand is currently growing. I'm very proud of that. So hopefully I could be at a place like Cheryl where I can say the reviews don't make or break me. Right now, the reviews do help. So that's why I do say, hey, if you buy my book, whether you buy it from me from any signing event, you buy it from me at the Black Mall, you bought from me on tour, you buy it from me anywhere. Um, Please go on Amazon, go on Barnes and Nobles, go on Goodreads, go on my website, wherever, leave a review because it helps. I am that author and that writer that goes, I want the reviews. I need the reviews. I love the reviews. I'll even post and repost the reviews and talk about them. Like I love when I get reviews from anybody who reads my work. So thank you. And if you have a negative review, please by all means leave the negative review and give me a reason why, because it helps me become a better author if I know why. If you're review bombing, dude, there's no reason for you to do that. You could be a better person. Like you could be dope all by yourself. You don't have to tear people down. That's weird. Don't be weird. And that's where we're at. Oh, I do want to say before I get to the top 10, there's a couple of things I do want to say before I get to the top 10. First is the union will be out next year. I am not putting it out during the holiday season. The reason why is we definitely want to really push this. This is a really good book and a really great book, actually. And we really want this to get as many eyes on it as much as possible. So we're really doing a whole campaign as far as pushing this to make it into a bestseller. So in the meantime, if you haven't read The Wake, you haven't read The Void, you haven't read The Legacy, please go out and read them now. I would say start with the Void. Look at The Wake as a prequel. I would say start at the Void. After you read The Void, you go back and read The Wake. Or after you read The Void and Legacy, go back and read The Wake. But because they're written so different, The Wake is written in, the Wake is written in third person and it's telling the overall story of the community. The Void is actually written from Tiffany Gibbons, the main character's point of view, and she's showing the world through her eyes. So I would just say, just for all intents and purposes, check out The Void first. And I mentioned a little bit earlier about my tour, about what's going on with touring. I'll be giving more information on that as the public relations firm that I'm working with, as we are in a place that we can talk about it publicly. I do want to talk about the NBA in-season tournament just briefly. I love the idea that the NBA has done this in-season tournament and the winner of the tournament possibly getting a guaranteed playoff spot. I like that because if we have an in-season tournament that ends around Christmas time, that means the rest of the year, the rest of the season, NBA season, that team that's already in the playoffs is now playing harder to advance and get a higher spot in the playoffs. I like that because that means that you're going to get a lot harder basketball for the rest of the season. And you're going to get a lot of people that aren't going to be benching players just for them to have workload management or whatever like that. So I really think this is a great idea. And now we're going to do the top 10. So what would be this week's top 10? I'm going to tell you what it is. So my top 10 this week is going to be broken up. So it's going to be top 5 Christmas gifts, well, top 5 best Christmas gifts and top 5 worst Christmas gifts. Okay. All right. So, all right. So here we go. We're going to go with the top 5 best Christmas gifts. I'm actually going to move some things around just before I get started because, all right, so this is what I'll say. The top 5 best Christmas gifts of all times. Number 5 would be the PS2. No, sorry, the PS1, the very first PlayStation. So there I was in ninth grade or eighth grade, eighth or ninth grade, and PlayStation 1 came out, right? So I was a Sega Genesis person, and before then, I was a Nintendo person, right? And the PlayStation came out, whole different gaming system and everything, different kind of controls. You had the X, circle, triangle, and square, or box, as my daughters would call it, and it just a different gaming system, right? And my mom and my dad got me the PlayStation 1 for Christmas that the year that it came out. And there was the Papa the Rapper game that came with it. And my mom did two cool things. My mom and my dad, they knew my love for football and how much I love playing football. So they purchased the football game, game day for that year. And they also purchased Final Fantasy VII. And those two, well, game day was awesome. I was a game day and Madden person growing up. And when I had Sega Dreamcast, I also had the 2Ks, the 2K series, right? So NFL 2K, NBA 2K. And I actually enjoyed them both a lot. Um, I'm not a real big NBA 2K person now, just because I don't have time to game as much as I used to back in the day. But I do wish the NFL 2K would come back. I do miss the good old days when ESPN, that's who had 2K, they had this deal where all their games, they would never go above $20 for their game sales, which I thought that was a great thing because EA Sports was going ridiculous with their pricing their games, especially in contrast to what ESPN was selling their games for. And even with EA Sports, who had NBA Live, and of course Madden, and then you had 2K, and then you had 989 Studios who had Shootout and Game Day. You had different studios that had different games, and I do wish that ESPN would have kept things the way how it was with the 2K series and the pricing of it and all that kind of stuff because it's really cool to have that kind of a competitor that would drive a low end dollar just to get more sales. And I think that's very intelligent business actually, and it worked and it helped them thrive. And as you can see, 2K is still out and about doing wrestling now and basketball and other sports and stuff like that. So it worked for them, and they were able to build a platform and a following just from that business model. So, and Final Fantasy VII is probably one of the most influential games in my life. The reason why is I love the idea of the storytelling in that game, how they fleshed out each character slowly and methodically while telling a bigger story. And it was a very great game. And I did like the fact of killing how they killed the main character in that game. And it was very finite and it was very shocking. Like you did not see it coming from a mile away when it's your very first time playing it. It was just like, oh my God, you did this, and this is how you end the first CD. Like that's crazy. I'm really sad now because I've taken all the time to develop and get to know this character. And you'll if you read The Wake, The Void, and then read The Legacy, you'll see how I played around with that kind of an idea. Bless you. My daughter just sneezed. So, PlayStation 2, that would be my number 5 on best Christmas gifts ever. Number 4 would be the PlayStation 4 with Spider-Man and Red Dead Redemption. So, Red Dead Redemption 2, I should say. So, when I received my PlayStation 4 for Christmas, my wife had purchased it for me. She got me 2 cool games. She got me Spider-Man on PS4 and the Red Dead Redemption 2. And Red Dead Redemption 2 is just amazing. Everything from the graphics to the story, the gameplay with the remote and how you could, you push an extra ride your horse and everything. The game is just a phenomenal game. Sorry, that's just number 4 for me. Number 3 would be my weights and weight bench. So my cousin Ronnie, my Gene, and my Uncle Robert one year had purchased a weight bench for me. I was always in the sports, boxing and football, and I will always go with my cousin, my Gene's house, and I play around on Ronnie's workout equipment, stuff like that. And they decided, you know what, we're gonna hook them up, and they got me a weight bench and then weights and all that kind of stuff. And that's how I got started in the whole weightlifting thing. So that was cool. And to this day, I still have some of those weights. That weight bench sadly has died. I wore that thing to the ground, but that was my bench. You know what I mean? Um, so number 2, Uncle Robert. This is when I was in South Carolina. He got me the Hess truck with the little race car that comes off the back, and you can just, yeah, it was a cool game and a cool toy, I should say. And I was like, dude, I love this toy, right? And yeah, that would be number 2, because since then every year I look at those Hess toys. I go, Dad, I want that one too. Like the helicopter, I wanted that one. Like that was cool, especially how they did the one with the helicopter on the hospital, whatever. I get it. I'm a whole adult. I don't care. Still want the toy. It looks nice. So, and number 1 would be the original Nintendo. All right, so there's a cool story with this Nintendo story. So picture this: I come back to Baltimore from South Carolina, right? And I had an Atari, and my dad goes, "Hey, Kyle, I need you to take out the trash." So your pops say you take out the trash, you take out the trash. So I go get the big old trash bag. I'm taking it downstairs, and we used to keep the trash. Like, so if you grew up in Westport, Mount Winans, if you know how those little townhouses were, you go down the stairs and then to the basement. You walk all the way to the back of the basement. You have to open up this real thick door, and then it's a little walkway up, and you got the trap door. Whatever. So we used to keep the trash and a trash can right there in that between the thick door and the trap. So on the cement steps. And it was always creepy going out there on the cement steps because there's always like big spiders and weird stuff out there on those cement steps. So I'm going to go try to get this, and then I'm like, Dang, this thing is heavy. I've never known this trash to be heavy like this, right? I don't even know if this was done on purpose or as a joke by my dad. I have no idea. Of course, he's dead, and my mom has always lived up to the whole thing of, oh, he forgot that he had it in there. I don't know, like, but I'm like struggling trying to get this bag up the stairs because this is a real big bag and a big old trash bag. It's heavy, like ridiculously heavy. So I'm like, yo, what is in this thing, right? So I stop as I'm trying to get this thing up the cement steps. Like getting downstairs, no problem. Walking through the basement, kind of no problem. Getting into that back door, that thick old back door, hard. So I'm like, all right, what's in this bag that's so heavy? I open it up. It's a big old box that says Nintendo Entertainment System. And it was like some other toys and stuff like that. And so I was like, he's about to have me throw all these toys. So I go in, plug Nintendo. I'm like, hey, 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 it's Nintendo area. You're trying to find a Nintendo. So I'm like, oh my God, Nintendo. And I'm wilding out. And my mom's like, yeah, we'll put it together. My mom was back in the day, was one of those type of people, she couldn't even set a VCR, let alone put together the thing. So she was one of those people that would read all the instructions and go slowly but surely. Okay, the red cord here. And then you had the little thing that you had to twist in with the little coax cable, whatever. So my mom's doing all this complicated stuff. I'm like, I got it. Boom, boom, boom. Put it together real fast. I'm out there playing. I'm playing I had Mario 1 at the time because that had just came out. The Duck Hunt Mario 1 was the 2 games and one that Nintendo would give you with the system. And I want to say I had a baseball game with it that came with that my dad got me with it. And I definitely had Dr. Mario. Why was I so proud to say I had Dr. Mario? I have no idea, but I had it. And I feel like that year or the year after I had a Game Boy. I don't remember. The timing is off. But yeah, those were the days. Yeah. So that's my number one. So now we got top 5 worst Christmas gifts ever. So I'm gonna start off with number 5. Number 5 was a gift that was given to me by somebody who I have a lot of respect for, um, a lot of compassion for, and I think is a very great person. So this is not a dig at this person at all. It's more of hilarious of this is your thing and it was not a my thing. And I appreciate you for thinking of me for getting a Christmas gift, but it was like this is more of a your thing and not a my thing. So, fun fact: Kyle Berkeley does not bowl. Like that's not my thing. So I have I had a real good friend who is really into bowling, and one year this friend decides to buy me a bowling ball and bowling shoes because they love bowling and they want me to bowl with them more often. Yeah. So that was the thing. I appreciate it. Matter of fact, I still have the bowling ball. I still have my bowling shoes. I will dust them bad boys off whenever I go out to go bowling, which is probably once every 3 years. And yeah, so that's that. And I will bowl a proud 20. That's not my thing. Sorry. Don't come for me. That's not my thing. You could be good at bowling all you want. I don't care. I'm not good at it. I don't even try to be good at it. I think the closest I've ever been good at it was when I bowled a almost perfect score in duck pin. So that's number 5 on worst Christmas gifts ever. Number 4 would be knockoff clothes. All right, so I had somebody. I could say as a family member. I could say as a friend. I'm gonna just leave it at that. That got me a whole bunch of knockoff polo shirts and a pair of knockoff Nikes. Yes, the polo shirts were called Knights of the Round Table. Like when you look at the tag, it had polo, and then underneath the tag it said Knights of the Round Table. And if you look up Knights of the Round Table, you'll see Knights of the Round Table is a whole other brand all by itself. So, right. And then I had a couple polo shirts that had Fruit of Balloon tags on them. So, knockoff. So that would be number 4. Number 3 on worst Christmas gifts ever. Hmm. Number 3 worst Christmas gifts ever. Because I've had some bad ones in my life. I had some real good ones. So, number 3 worst Christmas gift ever. I'm not going to say what I really want to say just because I know whose feelings it would hurt. So I'm not going to say that. But it was weird that he got that for me for Christmas. I will say a person bought me a DVD called A Beautiful Mind as a Christmas gift, and I was like, "Is this a sign? Are you insinuating?" Like, no, no, no. I really love the movie. I thought you would love the movie. There's Jamie Foxx in it. Okay, all right. Are you trying to like mind mess with me or something like that? Because this is weird. Like, what did I ever say? Thank you, thank you. Yeah. So that would be number 3. That whole Beautiful Mind DVD. I was like, what? What is happening? It was extremely weird. Um, Number 2, worst Christmas gifts ever. I had somebody buy me this blue laser gun, which I was like, huh? It was like a you push the button, it makes a little sound. Problem is, I'm like in 8th grade. Ready? Close the refrigerator back. Close the refrigerator back. Can you close the refrigerator, please? She doesn't want to close the refrigerator. She's sleeping a little bit because she wants to see herself. Thank you. Go close the fridge. So that'll be number 2. Number 1. All right, wait. Let's go back to number 2 real quick. Because this one is too adjacent, and it's too adjacent because it's not this person's fault. So this person bought me a video game called Max Payne. Problem is, I already had Max Payne that I had bought, and this person knew I had the Max Payne game because this person came to my house and played it with me. So it was weird this person bought me the Max. Matter of fact, what's funny about the whole Max Payne game thing is I still have the actual game that they bought me for Christmas still in the plastic at my mom's house up in my old bedroom. Yeah, that's how weird it was. And number 1. Mind you, there's some other bad gifts sprinkled in there. Like when Sega had went up with Dreamcast and everything, like how that whole thing fell apart. I had somebody buy me a whole Dreamcast system. So I had like 5 Dreamcast systems at one point in time. I'm not even joking. You could reality check this with anybody that knows me. They will legit say, yeah, I legit had 5 Dreamcasts at one point in time because everybody was getting those discount Dreamcasts at GameStop. I think at the time it was Funko or whatever. Everybody had, so everybody was trying to get rid of them. Like all these stores were trying to sell them. So it was weird because I was a gamer. I was in a comic book, stuff like that. So it was real easy for me to people to just go, here you go. We know you like games. We got this for you. Like, I know you got that Dreamcast for like $10. I know you got it for $10. I know you got all these Dreamcast games for a penny on a dollar because they're not making Dreamcast games anymore. I know what you're doing. Like, this sucks. And thank you. But yeah, that was a thing. So I had multiple Dreamcasts. So that's number 2 adjacent. Number 1 though. Number 1. Like I mentioned, I was in the music scene for a while. And I came up with, actually, when I came out kind of on my own. And Rudy and I, Rudolph Bailey, we worked together with Anthony Sutton, who we had a group called the Highlanders. There was a thing that happened between Sutton and my man Jay. And when that thing happened, Jay got to be with Sutton. For stupid reasons, I sided with Jay. And I did a diss track on Sutton, and then from there I started working with another label, and then I started working with Arsenal Records, and I was with Arsenal Records all the way up until I retired from music. That being said, I produce all this time, and while producing, I used to use various drum machines. So I had MC307. I forget what the SP was called, but I had ASRX. I had an MPC 1000, MPC 2000 XL. I had XR20 by I think I mentioned the MC909. No, I mentioned the 307. I had Reasons and Pro Tools and Studio One. I had I used a lot of different equipment. I'm missing a lot as well. But this one gift was hilarious. So there was this person who really, really liked my music and wanted to be a part of my dream as a musician. And this person had given me this very great heartfelt Christmas gift. What was that heartfelt Christmas gift, you may ask? It was a drum machine, right? Right. Problem is, it wasn't a drum machine that you're thinking about, that you produce music with. It was a drum machine that I would give my 4-year-old daughter, who was just right here sitting on my lap. A little toy with the, those fun little sound drum machines. That's what I received for Christmas that year. I was well into my 20s working for the state of Maryland. So that is my top 5 best and worst Christmas gifts of all time. Please feel free to leave a comment on your top 5 best and worst Christmas gifts. Let's make this a thing, okay? So everybody who reads who's watching this, please leave your top 5 best and worst Christmas gifts. All right, we're doing this. Merry Christmas to all a good night. Happy Kwanzaa. Any other holidays that you celebrate, happy to that as well. Let's have a great holiday season. Let's make great decisions. If you're looking for a last minute holiday gift, I would love to invite you to purchase any of the following: The Wait, The Void, or The Legacy. The Union will be out soon. Again, my name is Kyle S. Berkeley. You can go on any of the major retailers: Amazon, Barnes and Nobles, Greedy Reads, Goodreads, Books A Million. You can find my work on there. You can go to my website, kylesberkeley.com. You can follow me on all forms of social media. I'm at Berkeley for Us. So that being said, thanks for tuning in on this week's Nameless Blogs. Happy holiday. Peace.